Hello and welcome to Geology, a channel dedicated to making concepts in biology simple, easy to understand, and interesting. In this video today, we are going to look at how to solve assertion and reasoning questions for the chapter Life Processes. This is from CBSE Standard 10, and we're going to look at what are the tips to solve these questions. We're also going to work together on a few examples and see why we are selecting the answers. How do we use the knowledge of the concept while answering these questions? So let's begin. When you receive the questions, take time to read the question thoroughly, slowly. Take maybe a little longer than when you're reading the other questions. That's because the assertion and reasoning questions could get a little confusing. And if you rush through the question, you might not be getting the right answers. And first read the assertion, see if it is correct, if it is true. Then read the reasoning and see if that is true. And then try to see whether the reason is, the statement given in the reason is actually the reason for the first line or not. So first assert whether both the statements are true in themselves or not. Then, like I said just now, think of each of these statements without confusing with the other. So first you think of them individually and then try to see whether there is a relation or not. And then you have these four options, option A, B, C, and D. And it might get a little confusing when you are actually selecting the options. So the more and more you practice, it becomes easy to deal with these questions. And we are using a lot of conceptual knowledge when we are solving these assertion reasoning questions. Most of the questions are actually to find whether you have understood the concept or not. So hence revise your concepts very well before attempting these questions. And last but most important, I would say, is sleep well the previous night. Because when you're answering these questions, your mind should not be drowsy, you should not be sleepy, because that will make your thinking clouded. And you need to be alert when you're looking at solving these questions. In the current year, that is 2023-24, the assertion reasoning questions come with these four options. You need to choose between you need to choose the right answer between options A, B, C, and D. Option A says both A and R are true and R is the correct explanation of A. So A means assertion statement, R means the reasoning statement. So both A and R needs to be true, where R should be the reason or the explanation for A. Option B, both A and R are true, but R is not the correct explanation of A. C, A is true and R is false. D, A is false but R is true. This time both are false option is not there in it. So be very sure, even though we have it like this, even though you practice it in the same order, but still when you receive your question paper, do look at it very clearly about whether these are in the same order or not. And when you read the question, when you read the two statements, I would suggest you still look at these four options and see whether A, B, C, and D are in the same order or not before you select your option. Don't go blindly with your memory. Now let's solve a few of these questions. I have given the explanation for why we are selecting a reason, the answer. You need not give these explanations in exam, but this is for you to revise the concept and understand why we are selecting these answers. So question 1. In anaerobic respiration, one of the end products is alcohol. The reason is there is an incomplete breakdown of glucose. So here both A and R are true and R is the correct explanation of A. Why do we say that? Because we know that the breakdown of glucose uh, takes 3 different kinds of routes. So glucose, a 6-carbon molecule in cytoplasm, breaks down into 2 molecules of pyruvate, which are 3-carbon molecules, and some energy. Now, based on how much oxygen is present, pyruvate takes any of the 3 pathways. Now, here in this question, we are looking at anaerobic respiration. So, in the absence of oxygen, for example, in yeast, pyruvate breaks down into ethanol and then carbon dioxide and energy. So that is what it is saying. One of the end products is alcohol. Right, so let's move ahead. Question 2. Carbohydrate digestion mainly takes place in small intestine. Reason: pancreatic juice contains the enzyme lactase. First thing is, this reason R is not true. So we are not going to look at these first 2 options. A is true, but R is not true. So then you have answers as C, and that's because pancreatic juice contains an enzyme called pancreatic amylase, which digests carbohydrate. Assertion statement: aerobic respiration requires less energy as compared to anaerobic respiration. Reason: mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. Now the first statement, aerobic respiration requires less energy as compared to anaerobic respiration, itself is false. In that case, we are not even going to look at the option A and B. Then the reason, let's see whether that is correct. Mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. Statement wise, it is true, but there is no question of any connection because the first statement itself is false. So hence the answer is D, A is false and R is true. Aerobic respiration requires more energy compared to anaerobic respiration. And mitochondria, of course, it is known as the powerhouse of the cell because it is responsible for extracting energy from food through cellular respiration. So the energy released is in the form of ATP or adenosine triphosphate, which is also known as the energy currency of the cell. Next, assertion: phloem helps in translocation of food from the leaves. Yeah, that seems to be true. Reason: phloem provides mechanical support to the plant. Now, that is not true. Hence, your answer will be C. A is true, R is false. So, phloem transports photosynthetically prepared food materials from the leaves to the storage area and vice versa, from the storage area later to the different parts of the plant. And the mechanical support of the plant is provided by the collenchyma and sclerenchyma tissues. The next one. Assertion: blood takes up oxygen from alveolar air and releases carbon dioxide during the exchange, which is correct. And then reason: the concentration of oxygen is more in the alveolar air. That also is correct. So both the statements are correct, which means that we need to look at option A or option B. Now, both A and R are true, but is R the reason for A? Well, yes, because the partial pressure of oxygen is high in alveoli and low in the blood, because of which oxygen diffuses across the respiratory membrane from the alveoli into the blood. And similarly, the partial pressure of carbon dioxide is high in the capillaries and low in the vessels. So the answer would be A. Assertion: the Bowman's capsule and the tubule together makes the nephron, which is true. You have the Bowman's capsule here, and then inside which is the glomerulus, and along with that the tubule together forms the nephron. Assertion is correct. The function of tubule is to allow selective reabsorption of substances like glucose, amino acids, urea, salt, and water into the blood capillaries. This statement is also true because that is what is the function. However, this function does not make the assertion to be true. So your answer will be B, that is both A and R are true, but R is not the correct explanation of A. So the first statement talks about the structure while the second one talks about the function. Okay, and just for your revision, the functions of every part of the nephron is given here for a quick review. The next one, assertion. Trachea does not collapse when there is no air in it, which is true. Trachea is supported by cartilage. This is also true. And actually, because trachea is supported by the C-shaped rings of cartilage, which it provides the structural support, that is why trachea does not collapse when there is no air in it. So hence, the answer will be A. Both A and R are true, and R is the correct explanation of A. Capillaries are the thinnest blood vessels. Capillaries connect branches of arteries and veins. The answer, both of these statements are true, but this reason doesn't seem to be the reason for the assertion. So hence the answer is B. Now because capillaries have to exchange gases and nutrients, that is why they are very thin, and they are the smallest of the blood vessels. Ventricles have thicker walls than auricles. Yes, that is true. Ventricles have to pump blood into various organs with great pressure. Yes, this is also true. And we know that ventricles have thicker walls than auricles because they have blood flowing at a much higher pressure, and they have to push the blood through to different organs. Hence, both A and R are true, and R is the correct explanation of A. Hence, the answer is A. Plants store some of the waste products in their body parts, and raphides are the solid waste products of the plant. The first statement is true. The second statement also is true. But the second statement is not the reason for the first statement. So why plants store some of the waste products in their body is because they do not have a proper excretory organ for removing unwanted waste products. So the plants do release some along with the gaseous waste, but the solid wastes are stored, and some of the waste products are stored in the body parts. For example, in the leaves or the bark of the tree. So thus the waste products contained in them get excreted when the bark peels off and so on, or the leaves fall that way. So the answer here will be B. Both A and R are true, but R is not the correct explanation of A. So we have looked at about 10 questions together. I hope you are clear now about how to tackle these questions. So if you do have any doubts or any clarifications, please feel free to write in the comment section. Also, do like, share and subscribe to the channel for more such informative videos. Thank you.